In December 1990, a 14-month-old girl vanished from her parents' bed in San Diego in a 30-minute window. The breakthrough came from a single tiny birthmark and 500 photographs compared one by one. What they discovered would prove that you can steal a child's entire identity, and that one abuse complaint can accidentally save a life. The phone rings through the house. Early morning. Still dark outside. December 8th, 1990. Jeffrey Anzaldi opens his eyes. 7:30. The bedroom is quiet except for soft breathing. Between him and his wife Dorothy, their 14-month-old daughter sleeps. Crystal lies on her back, wearing only a diaper. Small chest rising and falling. The room is cool. Jeffrey pulls the blanket up over her and tucks it around her shoulders. His hand brushes her blonde hair. A tiny birthmark just left of her nose catches the faint light through the curtains. She doesn't stir. Jeffrey closes his eyes again. Saturday morning. No reason to rush. Soon, Kendra will wake and need breakfast. Crystal will wake needing a bottle and a diaper change. The routine will take over. But for now, the house near Coronado Naval Base sits in stillness. The neighborhood holding its breath before the day begins. Jeffrey drifts toward sleep. Dorothy breathes steadily beside him. Crystal sleeps between them. For this moment, the family feels complete and safe. But to understand what happens next, you need to know who Crystal Leann Anzaldi is. She was born October 1989 in San Diego. By December 1990, she's at that fascinating 14-month stage, walking with a wobbly toddler gait, forming sounds that almost become words, turning everything into discovery. Drop toy. Parent picks it up. Repeat. Learning cause and effect, one small experiment at a time. People notice her smile first, wide and bright. The kind adults comment on without thinking. The kind that shows up in every photo. The kind strangers remember. And then there's the birthmark. Small and faint. Just left of her nose. Barely noticeable unless you look closely. But it's documented. Permanent. A detail that will always belong to her. Crystal fills rooms despite being tiny. That age where personal space doesn't exist, where everything daddy does must be copied, where mama's attention is needed constantly, the exhausting, beautiful chaos of raising a toddler who's becoming a person. Jeffrey is a naval officer stationed near the base. Structure and discipline shape his work. Home is different. 2 daughters under 4. Kendra, 3. Energetic and curious. Crystal, still in diapers. Learning to walk. Military order colliding daily with family noise. Dorothy holds the household together. 2 small children require constant supervision. Kendra needs engagement. Crystal needs everything. Feeding. Changing. Watching every second. Because at 14 months, danger is everywhere. Stairs. Sharp corners. Anything small enough to grab. Kendra plays big sister in a way only a 3-year-old can. Protective, one moment. Jealous the next. She makes Crystal laugh. Hands her toys. Teaches her small things without realizing it. Their bond forms day by day. The sleeping arrangement is practical. Crystal doesn't stay asleep all night yet. When she wakes, having her between them means comfort is immediate. No stumbling down hallways. No delays. A child within arm's reach of both parents. It should mean safety. But later, authorities will describe complications in the home. A lifestyle beneath the surface that creates risk. Details neighbors may have sensed. Things that make a family more vulnerable than it appears. San Diego, in December 1990, moves in ordinary rhythms. The holidays are close. The weather stays mild. Military families come and go. Faces are familiar, even when names aren't. stability mixed with quiet transience. Crystal's days follow toddler patterns. Morning bottle. Toys scattered across the living room. Naps her parents desperately need her to take. Meals that end with food everywhere. Bath time. Bedtime. Comfort and repetition. The night of December 7th passes like any other. The family goes to bed in their usual places. Crystal, between her parents. Kendra down the hall. The house goes dark. The streets outside go quiet. Nothing feels wrong. Nothing warns them that morning will change everything. Crystal's attachment to her parents is typical for her age. She reaches for mama when she's tired, follows daddy room to room, cries when they leave her sight. That stage where separation feels like disappearance, where trust is still forming. She has no sense of danger, no understanding that the world contains people who might not be safe. At 14 months, strangers are just faces. The innocence is beautiful and terrifying. December 8th begins like any Saturday. No special occasion. No sign it matters more than any other day. Jeffrey will likely head to base at some point. Dorothy will manage 2 small children. The routines built over months will play out as always. Crystal sleeps between her parents, warm under the blanket, blonde hair across the pillow, her smile relaxed in sleep, that tiny birthmark marking her face, a whole human being, 14 months into existence, becoming herself day by day. She is Crystal Leann Anzaldi. Daughter, sister, granddaughter, a child growing up near the naval base in San Diego. And she has no idea that within 30 minutes, everything will be taken from her. Jeffrey's internal clock pulls him toward consciousness. The bedroom is dim, washed in gray morning light. Dorothy sleeps beside him. Between them, the smaller weight of their 14-month-old daughter. He opens his eyes and focuses on Crystal. She's on her back, chest rising and falling in the steady rhythm of sleep. She wears only a diaper. The room cooled overnight. Jeffrey pulls the blanket up and tucks it gently around her shoulders. His hand brushes her fine blonde hair. In the low light, the tiny birthmark left of her nose is barely visible. Crystal doesn't stir. Satisfied, Jeffrey closes his eyes again. Saturday. No rush. The house is quiet. Kendra hasn't woken yet. Dorothy breathes evenly. Crystal sleeps soundly. For a few more minutes, everything feels normal. Minutes pass. 7:30 becomes 7:40. 7:40 becomes 7:50. The sun rises higher. Light strengthens in the room. What happens in those minutes exists in a blank space. No witnesses. No cameras. No proof. Just silence. Someone enters the house. How? No one can later confirm. There will be no damaged locks. No broken windows. No obvious signs of forced entry. Either a door was left unlocked or someone had a key. The person moves through the home quietly, toward the master bedroom. They either know the layout or move with careful confidence. They reach the bed. 2 adults asleep. 1 child between them. The child is the target. Hands lift Crystal. About 25 pounds. Easy for an adult to carry. If she wakes, if she makes a sound. Neither parent stirs enough to register it. The person holds her close, adjusts their grip, and backs away, step by step. They move through the hallway, past furniture, toward an exit. Quiet, measured, no bumps, no noise, no mistakes. Out the door and into the December San Diego morning. Around 7:50, maybe 7:55. The neighborhood is still asleep. Houses dark, streets empty. No one watching. Crystal is gone. The blanket Jeffrey tucked around her stays in the bed. The warmth she left behind fades from the mattress between her parents. 8 o'clock. Jeffrey wakes fully and reaches toward where she should be. His hand finds blanket. Mattress. Empty space. No child. Confusion hits first. He sits up, scanning the room. Did Dorothy get up with her? He turns. Dorothy is still asleep. He checks the floor beside the bed. Crystal is 14 months old. She can barely walk, and she can't climb down safely from an adult bed. Dorothy. He shakes her shoulder. Where's Crystal? Dorothy blinks awake. What? Crystal. Where is she? Dorothy sits up, looking around. Her brain catches up. I don't know. You had her. Oh, she was right here. Jeffrey says, voice tightening. Between us. Iswas. Dorothy gets up fast, checking the floor anyway, calling softly at first. Crystal? Baby? Then louder. Down the hall. Crystal? Jeffrey is up now too. They split. Dorothy checks Kendra's room. 3-year-old still asleep. No baby sister beside her. Jeffrey checks the bathroom. Kitchen. Living room. Calling Crystal's name. Volume rising with panic. Crystal. They search everywhere. Under beds. Closets. Behind furniture. Places Crystal couldn't possibly reach. Panic overrides logic. Dorothy opens kitchen cabinets with shaking hands. Jeffrey runs outside in sleeping clothes, the cold air biting his skin. He scans the street. Neighbors' yards. Calling her name loud enough to wake anyone who can hear. Nothing. Call 911. Jeffrey says when he rushes back inside. No debate. Call now. His 4. Dorothy's hands tremble on the phone. The numbers feel impossible. She finally gets through. My daughter, she says. Voice breaking. She's missing. She was in our bed and now she's gone. She's 14 months old. 2 free. San Diego police received the call at 8:15. Infant missing. Last seen minutes earlier. Highest priority. Patrol units respond immediately. Sergeant Jim Munsterman takes the lead. He arrives within 20 minutes. Jeffrey and Dorothy are outside. Still searching. Still calling her name as if saying it enough times might bring her back. Kendra is awake now, crying in the doorway, confused by the fear she can't understand. Munsterman moves fast. He walks the house, the bedroom, the bed, the blanket. Everything looks normal. No struggle. No mess. Nothing overturned. He checks the doors. No damage. No obvious entry marks. Windows are closed and intact. Who has keys to your house? He asks. Jeffrey's mind races. Just us. Me and Dorothy. Has fiver. End quote. Anyone else? Friends? Family? Babysitters? Dorothy lists names. People who've been around recently. Everyone will need to be checked. By 8:30, officers canvass the neighborhood door to door. Did anyone see anything between 7 and 8? A strange vehicle? A stranger? Someone carrying a child? No one saw anything. Saturday morning, people slept in. No one was outside. No one was looking. Officers begin checking women nearby with infants. Standard procedure. The description is clear. 14 months old. Blonde hair. Hazel eyes. Wearing only a diaper. With a tiny birthmark left of her nose. No matches. As Munsterman digs into the family's background, another layer emerges. Significant illegal activity tied to the home in the weeks leading up to December 8th. That detail changes everything. Motives multiply. Debts. Retaliation. Pressure. A message. Investigators focus on the adult circle, associates, visitors, anyone connected to that world. The assumption forms quickly. This wasn't random. Someone likely knew the family, knew the house, knew how to move quietly. But interviews produce nothing solid. Denials, half alibis, silence. No one admits knowing where Crystal is. December 8th becomes December 9th, then December 10th. No calls, no demand, no proof, no credible sightings. The first 72 hours pass, and the case loses momentum it can't afford to lose. Jeffrey and Dorothy are questioned repeatedly. Where they went, who they saw, who might have access. The questions are necessary, but brutal. Two parents in shock, now treated like suspects or liabilities. Kendra is interviewed too, gently, by specialists. She remembers nothing. She slept. The search expands. Blocks, streets, wider circles across San Diego, parks, stores, bus stations, airports. Officers are told to look for the birthmark. Still nothing. By December 10th, Crystal Anzaldi has effectively vanished. No evidence, no witnesses, no clear trail. And while investigators in San Diego chase theories and interview the same names again and again, the child they're searching for is already far away. Already 2,000 miles away. Already in Puerto Rico. Already being turned into someone else. Sergeant Munsterman works the case through December and into January. Every lead he follows produces nothing. Associates linked to the drug activity offer alibis that check out or dead ends that go nowhere. None have Crystal. None admit to knowing where she might be. The theory that once seemed logical, an abduction tied to the parents' criminal lifestyle, starts to crumble. Criminal enterprises that use children as leverage usually make demands quickly. Time is leverage. Waiting weakens it. But no demands come. No ransom calls. No messages. Just silence. And the silence suggests something else. Not leverage. Not retaliation that requires communication. Something different. But what? Stranger abduction remains possible. But investigators resist it. The mechanics are too clean. Someone entered without forced entry, navigated to the bedroom in darkness, removed a child from between sleeping parents, and left without waking anyone. That suggests inside knowledge, not a random predator. Yet no one with inside knowledge produces results. Public appeals go out. Missing child posters are printed. Crystal's photograph circulates. 14 months old. Wide smile. Birthmark left of her nose. Age progression specialists begin work. What might she look like at 2, 3, older? These projections go nationwide. Sent to hospitals, social services, and eventually schools. Anywhere a child might surface. No credible sightings emerge. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children adds Crystal to its database. Her file lists the distinctive smile, the birthmark, height, weight, eye color, hair color. It's cataloged and accessible to law enforcement. But 1990 technology limits reach. The internet exists, but it isn't everywhere. The database is mostly for professionals, not the public. Without national coverage, cases like this stay regional. Crystal's case gets local attention. San Diego news covers it, but it never breaks nationally. Too many missing children. Too many tragedies competing for headlines. Without dramatic developments, it fades within weeks. Early 1991 brings personal collapse. Jeffrey and Dorothy's marriage fractures. The statistics are brutal for couples who lose children. Trauma too deep. Grief too heavy. Blame, spoken or unspoken, too poisonous. Did you lock the door? Were you really asleep? Could you have prevented this? Should we have heard something? The questions don't need to be said to do damage. They live in the silence between two people who once loved each other. The drug activity makes it worse. Whose choices brought danger into the home? Whose connections made them vulnerable? They divorce. Paperwork confirms what emotional distance already created. Jeffrey moves to Banks, Oregon, taking Kendra with him. He raises one daughter while mourning another, trying to give the 3-year-old who lost her sister something stable. Dorothy moves to Corning, California, a different direction, a different attempt at rebuilding. Both parents trying to survive the unsurvivable, both carrying the weight alone, now grieving separately, without shared support. The San Diego investigation stays open but loses momentum. Munsterman doesn't give up. He checks the file, reviews anything new, possible sightings, similar cases, but without fresh leads. There's nowhere to go. The trail is frozen. The file sits in a cabinet, gathering dust. Not forgotten, just stalled. A cold case in everything but name. Meanwhile, 2,000 miles away, Crystal's transformation has already begun. Nilza Gierbolini Guzman arrives in Luquillo, Puerto Rico, with a 14-month-old child. Luquillo sits on the island's eastern coast. Tropical, Spanish-speaking, culturally far from mainland America. Here Bolini had been in San Diego. The connection remains legally murky, but somehow she obtained Crystal. The mechanics, how she entered, how she carried the child out silently, how she transported an infant across country and ocean, remain unproven. The result is undeniable. She has the child, and she's in Puerto Rico. A birth certificate is created or procured. Falsified. It lists Nilza Gierbolini Guzman as the mother. Invents a birth history. Names the child Sonia Guzman. Place of birth, Puerto Rico. Date of birth adjusted to fit the child's age. That document becomes the foundation of a new identity. With it, Gierbolini can enroll the child in school, access medical care, apply for services, and blend into the community. The system accepts the paperwork at face value. Why wouldn't it? Official documents aren't questioned without a reason. No one asks if she's really the mother. No one checks mainland databases for a missing child with the same face. Sonia Guzman becomes real through paperwork and repetition. The cultural erasure begins immediately. Everything is Spanish now. Voices, television, conversations. The English Crystal was beginning to learn simply stops. At 14 months, language pathways are still forming. The brain is plastic, ready to absorb whatever environment gives it. By age 2, Sonia speaks Spanish. Mama, Papa, daily objects, routine words. English isn't suppressed. It fades, replaced. By age 3, she's fluent in basic Spanish. Sentence form. Questions come. Her world is entirely Spanish. Gierbolini races her as Puerto Rican. Food, music, community, social norms. Everything reinforces the story. You are Sonia Guzman. You are from here. This is your mother. This is your life. And the memory loss is inevitable. 14 months is below the threshold for stable autobiographical memory. Crystal has no retrievable memories of Dorothy, Jeffrey, Kendra, or the house near Coronado Naval Base. No clear before. And does a jusant. The memories that begin forming later are all as Sonia. Luquillo streets, Caribbean heat, school days, Spanish voices. By age 4, when long-term memories start anchoring, she is Sonia completely, not acting, not pretending, believing. School enrollment happens without incident. The falsified certificate is accepted. Teachers know her as Sonia. Classmates call her Sonia. Report cards, conferences, school events. Everything under the false identity. By age 8, in 1997, Crystal Leann Anzaldi doesn't exist in her own mind. That identity is gone, replaced by Sonia Guzman. The girl who was taken remembers nothing of being taken. Life in Luquillo follows ordinary childhood rhythms. School, homework, friends, play, warm air, humidity, seasonal rains, lush green landscape, the ocean nearby, beach trips, salt water, sunlight. She remembers visiting El Morro in San Juan, the stone fortress against the sea, a memory that will persist even after everything else shifts. Life with Ghirbolini has routines. To Sonia, this is her mother, the only mother she remembers. Attachment forms like it would in any home, but something is wrong. Public records don't detail it. But by March 1997, someone is worried enough to report concerns. Allegations that Nilza Ghirbolini is abusing the child, known as Sonia. The specifics remain private. But the complaint is serious enough to trigger an investigation. That single report, someone caring enough to speak up, will change everything. It will expose not just one problem, but another beneath it. At age 8, Sonia knows certain facts as absolute truth. Her name is Sonia Guzman. She lives in Luquillo. Her mother is Nilza Ghirbolini Guzman. She speaks Spanish. She is Puerto Rican. She cannot know other truths. Her real name is Crystal Leann Anzaldi. She was born in San Diego. Her biological parents are Dorothy and Jeffrey. She has a sister named Kendra. She was taken at 14 months old. Hundreds searched for her. Her case sits in a national database. Her parents divorced under the weight of losing her. She has been missing for 7 years. 2 worlds exist at once. In Oregon, Jeffrey raises Kendra, now 11, with fragile memories of her baby sister. More feeling than image. He's likely accepted the worst, but hope lingers anyway. In California, Dorothy lives with the same unanswered grief. The not knowing is its own punishment. In San Diego, Munsterman still has the file, still open, still unsolved. Crystal's photograph remains in the database, waiting for someone to connect the dots. In Puerto Rico, Sonia goes to school, plays with friends, lives a child's life, unaware she is missing. Unaware, people are still looking. The parallel lives continue until March 1997, when the complaint is filed, when family services begins standard checks, when someone looks closely at Sonia Guzman's birth certificate and realizes something is very wrong. The years between 1990 and 1997 pass slowly for those waiting. For Jeffrey in Oregon, each birthday that passes without Crystal marks another year gone. She would be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Age progression images try to show what she might look like, but they're guesses. Educated predictions based on bone structure and family resemblance. Not photographs. Not proof of life. For Dorothy in California, grief becomes a permanent companion. Not something that fades. Not something that heals. Just something she learns to carry. Every child she sees near Crystal's age triggers the same thoughts. That could be her. She'd be that tall now. She'd be in that grade. She'd be learning to read, learning to ride a bike, growing up somewhere, or not growing up at all. The NCMEC database holds Crystal's information, a photograph of a 14-month-old and physical descriptors that grow less reliable as years pass. But some markers don't change. The distinctive smile, the tiny birthmark left of her nose. The database itself is changing. In the early 1990s, internet access begins to expand. What started as physical files and mailed photographs slowly becomes digital, searchable, remote, faster, revolutionary technology. But it still requires someone to look, to compare, to connect. For 6 years, no one does. Crystal's case sits in the database. Sonia Guzman lives in Puerto Rico. The two realities never intersect. The systems don't talk. No one suspects a child in Puerto Rico might be a missing American child. March 1997. An abuse complaint lands on a caseworker's desk in Puerto Rico's Department of Family Services. Standard welfare investigation. A child named Sonia Guzman, age 8, living in Luquillo with her mother Nilza Girbellini Guzman. Allegations of abuse. A caseworker is assigned. Protocol is clear. Interview the child. Interview the mother. Assess the home. Verify legal status. Standard steps. Sonia's interview is careful. 8-year-olds can describe home life, but they can also be coached or afraid. Questions are designed to assess safety and truthfulness. Whatever Sonia reveals, or doesn't, convinces the caseworker the concerns are real. The case stays open. Girbellini's interview is defensive. She denies everything, says the child is fine, that she's a good mother, that the allegations are lies. Someone with a grudge, trying to cause trouble. The caseworker notes it and continues. I need to verify Sonia's birth certificate for the file. It's not a standard request. Every welfare case requires documentation, proof of identity and legal status. Birth certificates are foundational. Girbellini provides the certificate, the same document she's used for 7 years, school enrollment, medical visits, official purposes. No one has questioned it before. It looks legitimate on the surface, but the caseworker studies it. Something feels off. Paper quality, formatting, details that don't align, or maybe just instinct built through years of reviewing documents. Whatever the trigger, suspicion sparks. I'm going to need to verify this with vital records. End quote. Verification reveals the truth. Cross-checking with Puerto Rico's official records shows no birth registered under this name. On this date, in this place, the certificate is forged. The information is fraudulent. The case changes instantly. No longer a welfare file. Now a criminal matter. Falsified documents. Unauthorized custody. Identity fraud. Possibly kidnapping. The caseworker escalates to law enforcement. Puerto Rico's Justice Department becomes involved. Hannibal Torres, Director of Special Investigations, takes interest. A child has lived under a false identity for years. Where did she come from? Who is she really? How did Girbellini get her? Interpol is contacted. If the child isn't Puerto Rican, she could be from the mainland or elsewhere. Interpol has databases and cross-jurisdiction resources. Inspector Berrios assigns agents Ismael Cintrón and Cesar Neves. Experienced. Methodical. Their task is daunting. Identify the child and trace her origin. The 8-year-old, known as Sonia Guzman, sits at the center of a storm she doesn't understand. Adults asking strange questions, saying things that don't make sense. She knows her name is Sonia. She knows her mother is Nilza. Everyone else must be wrong. or confused, or lying. April through November 1997. Cintron works the puzzle. If she isn't from Puerto Rico, she's from somewhere else. If her identity was changed, it likely happened when she was very young, infant, or toddler. He focuses on missing children between 1989 and 1992. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children has the most comprehensive UNICEF database. Cintron contacts NCMEC. Explains the situation. Child in Puerto Rico. Around 8 years old. False identity. Need comparison with missing children from the right time frame. By 1997, the database is moving online. Accessible to law enforcement. A breakthrough. A few years earlier, this would have meant mailed files and weeks of coordination. Now he can search digitally, download images, compare on screen. He begins the work. A current photo of Sonia compared against hundreds of missing child images. One by one, face to face. Bone structure, eyes, smile, ears. Anything that survives aging. It's tedious, heavy. Every photo is another family still waiting. 300, 400, still nothing. Maybe she isn't American. Maybe this won't work. 450, 500. And then he stops. A photograph. A 14-month-old missing from San Diego, California. December 1990. Crystal Leann Anzaldi. The smile catches him first. Wide. Distinctive. Defining the face. He looks back at Sonia's photo. The same kind of smile. Striking. But smiles aren't enough. He needs something specific. He reads the descriptors. Tiny birthmark left of nose. He zooms into Sonia's photo. Enhances it. Studies the area. There it is. Small. Subtle. Exactly where it should be. Now the pieces align. Smile. Birthmark. Age. Time frame. Crystal vanished in 1990. She'd be 8 in 1997. San Diego to Puerto Rico is far, but not impossible. Cintron flags it as a high probability match. But probability isn't certainty. He needs proof. DNA testing is ordered. A cheek swab from Sonia in Puerto Rico. Simple. Non-invasive. A profile is created. Now they need comparison samples from Crystal's biological parents. The call goes out. 7 years after their daughter vanished. Mr. Prest. Anzaldi. This is Agent Cintron with Interpol in Puerto Rico. We believe we may have found your daughter. To that, if you were concerned, the words don't land at first. Jeffrey has lived 7 years assuming the worst. Living with a loss that never had answers. I'm sorry. What? We have a child here living under a false identity. We believe she might be Crystal. Hope is terrifying. What if it's wrong? What if it opens the wound again? But the possibility demands action. What do you need? A DNA sample. We need certainty. Yes, Jeffrey provides blood. Dorothy gets the same call in California. Same shock. Same impossible hope. She provides a sample too. Both wait. Suspended between fear and disbelief. November 14th, 1997. Results arrive. Genetic markers align. The probability of coincidence is essentially zero. Match. 99.9% certainty. Sonia Guzman is Crystal Leann Anzaldi. The girl who forgot her name has just had it returned, whether she understands it or not. In October 1997, before DNA is finalized, but after the identification becomes strong enough for action, Nilza Girbellini Guzman is arrested. Initially charged with falsifying documents, that charge is solid. Clear evidence. Clear crime. Kidnapping charges are harder. Prosecutors want to charge her with taking Crystal from the San Diego home in December 1990 and bringing her to Puerto Rico. But 7 years have passed. There's no physical evidence tying Ghirbolini to the Anzaldi residence. No witnesses. No fingerprints. No forensic trail. Time erased it. When confronted with DNA, Ghirbolini admits the child isn't biologically hers, but denies taking her. She offers an alternate story. An unnamed friend gave her the child, saying the biological mother had died and the child needed a home. She claims she took the child to help, then falsified the certificate to make life legal. I have a guess, and it's convenient, self-serving, unverifiable. She can't provide a name, details, anything confirmable. Prosecutors don't believe it. But disbelief isn't proof. January 1998. Ghirbolini is brought to San Diego. A federal grand jury investigates the kidnapping. Under oath, she admits document fraud but maintains she didn't take Crystal from the home. She insists she received the child from someone else. The grand jury lacks enough evidence to indict for kidnapping. No physical link. No witnesses. No confession. The legal standard demands more than suspicion. Result: she's convicted only of falsifying documents. Serious, but nothing like kidnapping. Sentencing is light. She's released on bail late 1997 and serves minimal time. The outcome devastates Jeffrey and Dorothy. The woman who stole their daughter's entire childhood essentially walks free. But the system runs on proof. And this case, 7 years cold, doesn't have what it needs. Astonishingly, Ghirbolini files for custody. She argues she raised Sonia for 7 years, that the bond is real, that separation would be traumatic. The claim is dismissed quickly. Fraud conviction, false identity, abuse allegations. But her willingness to file reveals her mindset. In her mind, 7 years of motherhood created a right. November 1997. The phone rings in Banks, Oregon. Jeffrey Anzaldi answers. The voice identifies as Agent Cintron with Interpol. The words that follow don't make sense at first. Found your daughter. Puerto Rico. Different name? DNA confirmation. Crystal is alive. The cognitive dissonance is profound. Found her? After 7 years? Alive? Relief and terror arrive together. Alive means the grief was premature. But not remembering you means she won't fully return. Something in between recovery and loss. Where exactly is she? Luquillo. Puerto Rico. She's been living there. Under the name Sonia Guzman. Is one apprisant. The information cascades. Puerto Rico. A new name. Years of false identity. Living with a woman who isn't her mother. Is she okay? Is she hurt? The first question every parent asks. She's physically healthy, but she doesn't speak English anymore. She speaks Spanish. And she doesn't remember you. She doesn't remember being Crystal. End quote. Hope and grief collide. Alive but changed. Found but still missing in another way. The daughter coming back won't be the daughter who was taken. Dorothy receives a similar call in California. Same impossible news. Same emotional whiplash. Crystal is alive. Crystal doesn't know she's Crystal. What does parenting even look like now? When your child doesn't remember you and can't speak your language, both parents provide DNA samples. Blood drawn. Profiles created. Both wait, trying to process the impossible. Crystal in Puerto Rico for 7 years. Living as someone else while they grieved and searched and accepted the worst. November 14th, 1997. DNA results arrive. Official confirmation. Scientific certainty. Sonia Guzman is definitively Crystal Leann Anzaldi. Conclusive match. The 8-year-old girl in Puerto Rico is their daughter. The story goes public. National media picks it up. Headlines scream the miracle. Girl missing 7 years found in Puerto Rico. DNA proves missing child alive. Birthmark solves cold case. The narrative is irresistible. Silent abduction. Years of a false life. Solved through tedious detective work and early technology. NCMEC celebrates. Their system worked. The database did what it was built to do. Syntron's 500-photo comparison validated everything. But for Crystal, or Sonia, it isn't celebration. It's terror. 8-year-old Sonia Guzman's reality collapses. Adults are saying her name isn't her name. Her mother isn't her mother. Her life is a lie. Everything she knows is wrong. She can't understand it. She has no memories of being anyone else. Her name is Sonia. She speaks Spanish. She is Puerto Rican. She lives in Luquillo. Those are facts. The adults must be wrong, or lying, or confused. Nilza Girbellini is arrested and taken away. Sonia doesn't understand why. Where is Mama going? What is happening? The fear is immediate. Overwhelming. She's placed in temporary custody. Foster care in Puerto Rico, while the legal system moves. A strange house. Strange people. Nothing familiar. Adults show her photographs. This is your real mother. Dorothy. This is your real father. Jeffrey. This is your sister. Kendra. Ardusif. The faces mean nothing. Strangers. Adults insist they're family. But family is who you know. Who raised you. Not people in pictures. Your real name is Crystal. Well, the name sounds foreign. Wrong. Not hers. Crystal is someone else. DNA is explained in child-friendly terms. Science says she's Crystal Anzaldi. But science is abstract. Her lived experience, 8 years as Sonia, is concrete. The only life she remembers. The psychological shock is immense. An identity collapse at 8 years old. Her sense of self dismantled and replaced by a truth that feels impossible. She asks for Nilza, the only mother she remembers. Whatever the abuse complaint was, Girbellini is still Mama in her mind. You can't see her. She's not your mother. She kidnapped you. I. The words don't connect. How can you be kidnapped by someone who's always been there? The language barrier makes everything worse. Jeffrey and Dorothy speak English. Sonia speaks Spanish. Translators sit between every sentence. Even comfort has to pass through a third party. These people claiming to be her parents can't even speak to her. How can they be her parents? Authorities tried to prepare her. Counseling. Child psychologists. Gradual exposure. Photo albums from infancy. Stories about her first 14 months. Attempts to build a bridge between who she was and who she became. She studies baby photos of Crystal. Sees the birthmark. Her birthmark. Matching the mirror. The evidence is there. But the baby still feels like someone else. Integrating two identities that feel mutually exclusive is nearly impossible. Sonia is real to her. Crystal is what adults insist is real. Both can't be true. Except somehow both are. December 1997 through February 1998. 3 legal battles unfold at once. Battle 1. Criminal prosecution of Nilza Girbellini Guzman. Document falsification is airtight. Kidnapping charges are desired but difficult. 7 years have passed. No physical evidence. No witnesses. No confession. The unnamed friend story is convenient and unverifiable, but not disproven. January 1998. A federal grand jury hears testimony in San Diego. Girbellini admits to the false birth certificate but denies the abduction. The grand jury lacks enough to indict for kidnapping. The result is crushing. Guilty only of falsifying documents. Minimal sentence. Released on bail. The woman who stole 7 years essentially walks free. Battle 2. Custody between Jeffrey and Dorothy. Both biological parents petition for full custody. The divorce makes them adversaries again, fighting over the daughter they both lost. Jeffrey's argument is structured. Stable home in Banks, Oregon. Already raising Kendra. Resources for therapy. A 2-parent household. And the value of a sibling bond to help Crystal adjust. Dorothy's argument is emotional and direct. Maternal rights. The bond between mother and child. The desire to reclaim lost years. Commitment to therapy and rebuilding. The case is heard in Puerto Rico. Judge Lilia Ortiz Puig presides. The standard is Crystal's best interests. Not the parents' pain. Stability. Resources. Family structure. The benefit of Kendra. Language support. Educational continuity. Everything weighed. February 1998. The ruling. Custody to Jeffrey. The reasoning is clear. His household offers stability, structure, and the significant benefit of reuniting Crystal with her sister. Dorothy receives visitation but not primary custody. It devastates her. She loses Crystal twice. Once to abduction. Once to the court. But the court prioritizes the child's needs over the mother's grief. Battle 3. Girbellini's custody claim. Despite arrest, fraud, and abuse allegations, she files anyway, arguing she raised Sonia for 7 years. The bond is real. Separation would be traumatic. It's dismissed quickly. She has no legal standing. But the filing reveals her mindset. In her mind, 7 years of motherhood created a right. February 1998. The transfer happens. 8-year-old Sonia Guzman is told she's going to Oregon to live with her real family. The language is gentle, but the reality is brutal. Leaving Puerto Rico. Leaving everything familiar. Moving to strangers who claim to be hers. The flight is surreal. Sonia sits with caseworkers and translators, watching the Caribbean disappear below. The mainland approach. 1. Life dissolving. Another beginning. Jeffrey and Kendra meet her at the airport. Jeffrey sees his daughter for the first time in 7 years. Last time, she was 14 months old, asleep between him and Dorothy. Now she's 8. Longer hair. Sharper features. A face already hinting at the adult she'll become. But the smile is still there. Wide. Distinctive. And the birthmark. Still left of her nose. Crystal, he says, with hope and fear braided together. The girl doesn't react. The name means nothing to her. She looks at him with confusion. Kendra stands beside him. 11 now. She has only fragile memories of a baby sister. Now she's facing an 8-year-old stranger who is supposedly her sister. A caseworker explains in Spanish. This is your father, your sister, your family. They love you. This is home now. Sonia stays quiet, overwhelmed. The adults keep saying that wrong name. Crystal. Not hers. The drive to Banks is silent. No one knows what to say. Language blocks conversation. Emotion blocks connection. They ride together. Separate. The house is unfamiliar. Oregon in February is cold. Wet. Gray. Nothing like Puerto Rico's heat and light. Different smells, Different sounds, different everything. Her room is prepared. Bed, dresser, toys, stuffed animals, books, all thoughtful, all foreign. Her room is in Puerto Rico. With Mama. This is someone else's room. The first weeks are brutal. Jeffrey enrolls her in English classes immediately. Intensive instruction. She learns quickly. Children adapt fast. English vocabulary grows. Grammar forms. Pronunciation improves. But the name is harder. Language can be learned. Names are identity. Crystal, Jeffrey calls across the house. She's in her room reading a bilingual picture book. Focused. Crystal? Honey. Dinner's ready. No response. He walks in. She's still reading. Maybe she didn't hear. Or maybe she did. And didn't recognize it was for her. He tries again. Sonia. In quote. Her head lifts instantly. See? The realization hits like a bruise. She won't respond to Crystal. Only to Sonia. The name that still feels real. Therapy begins. Trauma specialists. Identity work. Family sessions. Multiple times per week. Progress measured in tiny increments. How do you tell an 8-year-old her mother isn't her mother, that her life was built on lies? Without destroying her sense of reality, therapists work carefully. They validate her feelings. Her memories are real even if the framework was false. The goal isn't to erase Sonia, but to integrate Sonia and Crystal, so she can be both without breaking. It takes time. Months. Years. Slowly, Crystal begins to feel familiar. Not natural at first, but less foreign. She starts responding to it. Sometimes automatically. Sometimes with effort. Sonia fades gradually. The name that held her for 7 years loses dominance. Crystal becomes primary. One day she realizes she thinks of herself as Crystal now. And Sonia feels distant. Almost borrowed. English becomes dominant. Spanish fades the way it once arrived. School in English. Friends in English. Home in English. Spanish shrinks to fragments. By her teens, English is her language. By her early 20s, Spanish is mostly gone. Basic words. Short phrases. But not fluency. Jeffrey and Crystal's relationship forms slowly. Not a movie reunion. Not instant. Real. Difficult, built through consistency and patience. Trust grows at her pace. Kendra becomes an anchor. The sibling bond wasn't automatic. It had to be built. But it becomes genuine. Having someone near her age helps. Someone inside the household who feels less like an authority and more like a peer. Dorothy remains peripheral. Visits happen. But distance, geographic and emotional, hardens into permanence. Crystal grows up in Oregon with Jeffrey. Not California, with Dorothy. The fracture becomes part of the story. 2011. 14 years after her recovery. Crystal Leann Anzaldi is 22 years old. She lives in Portland, Oregon. A student at Portland Community College. Studying art with a focus on Edgar Degas. His ballerinas and ordinary scenes appeal to her. The soft colors. The movement captured in stillness. She works as a caretaker for elderly clients. Home care. Daily living assistance. Meal prep. Medication reminders. Companionship. The job fits her. Compassionate. Patient. Attentive. She helps people navigate aging with dignity. She lives with her boyfriend, Jake Hardman. Serious relationship. Stable. Shared apartment. Shared plans. Jake's mother has become a maternal figure for Crystal. An easy, natural bond without biology or trauma. The support she needed arrived from an unexpected place. She has a cat named Jack, a gray tabby, affectionate, demanding, a turtle named Lola, slow, calm, small domestic details, ordinary life. She looks normal, acts normal, speaks perfect English with no accent. Nothing about her suggests what she survived. Meeting her, you'd never guess. College student, caretaker, girlfriend, a normal 22-year-old living a normal life. But the past still exists. The memories, or the gaps, shape her in ways both visible and invisible. She remembers very little of her life as Sonia. Most of it has faded. What remains are impressions, Puerto Rico's heat, the constant warmth, the humidity that made the air feel thick. The sensation persists even when the details don't. One image stays clear: El Morro in San Juan, the massive stone fortress. Walking through it, looking out at the ocean from the ramparts, a memory strong enough to survive both transitions. Beyond that, specifics are gone. The house in Luquillo, no clear picture. The school, blurred. Friends, names lost. Faces forgotten, daily routines erased. Trauma memory doesn't preserve clean narratives. It protects by letting things disappear. She remembers almost nothing of the adjustment period either. The therapy, the fear, the confusion of being told her entire identity was false. The struggle of learning to respond to Crystal. That time is mostly a haze. She remembers only a few Spanish words. The language that shaped her from age 1 to 8 is nearly gone. C for port. No. A few basic phrases. No fluency. No conversation. The neural pathways pruned by disuse. What dominates now is the life she built after recovery. Oregon years. School, work, relationships, the present. Not the fractured past that feels like it happened to someone else. In the few interviews she's given, reluctantly, Crystal is blunt about Nilza Girbellini Guzman. She means absolutely nothing to me. 8. No ambivalence. No complicated attachment. No lingering affection for the woman who raised her from 14 months to 8 years. Whatever bond existed is severed completely. I have no desire to ever see her again. It's so final, definitive, not rage. More indifference. Girbellini doesn't deserve her emotional energy. Doesn't deserve space in her mind. She exists only when someone forces the subject. Her relationship with Jeffrey is functional. He's her father legally and practically. Her primary parent since recovery. In interviews, it isn't described as deeply warm, but it is stable. He gave her what she needed: safety, patience, structure. That was enough. Her relationship with Dorothy remains distant. Geography and custody created a separation that never fully healed. Crystal doesn't express resentment toward Dorothy, but she also doesn't describe closeness. They speak sometimes, see each other occasionally. The maternal bond that might have been never fully formed. Kendra remains a constant. The sibling relationship the court emphasized did become real. They're close. They talk. They visit. The sisterhood held. Crystal is emphatic about one thing: survivors need peace and silence. And also, the attention doesn't help. The questions, the rehashing, the documentaries, specials, podcasts. It pulls her backward when she's trying to live forward. She wants to be left alone. To be Crystal the student, the caretaker, the girlfriend. Not Crystal the recovered victim. Not the case study. Not the story. Her message stays consistent. Respect survivors' need for space. Let them build lives beyond trauma. Don't reduce them to the worst thing that happened to them. Don't make them perform survival for public consumption. May 1998. Long before her adult life, there was celebration, recognition, congressional honor, Third Annual National Missing Children's Awards, a congressional breakfast in Washington. Dodd. C. Formal commendation for law enforcement work that led to recoveries. A ceremony meant to prove the system works. Interpol agents Cesar Nieves and Ismael Cintrón were honored. Their work led directly to Crystal's recovery. The 500-photo comparison. The birthmark match. The coordination with NCMEC. The methodical investigation. Their persistence saved a life. Crystal attended with Jeffrey and Kendra, 8 years old, newly recovered, still adjusting, still learning to be Crystal instead of Sonia. The event was symbolic, proof that missing children can be found, even after years, through technology and human effort. National coverage followed. News broadcasts, newspaper articles. Crystal Anzaldi became inspiration, a recovery story people wanted to believe in. For the Anzaldi family, it was bittersweet. Relief and gratitude tangled with grief for the 7 years lost, honoring the people who found her while still trying to understand what came next. For NCMEC, the case validated their approach. Centralized searchable databases work. Digital sharing enables comparisons that once took months. Biometric markers matter. In 1997, Cintrón's identification was only possible because the tools finally existed. The Crystal Anzaldi case changed protocols permanently. Biometric documentation became emphasized. That tiny birthmark, recorded in the original missing persons report, became the key 7 years later. Modern protocols stress capturing every marker, birthmarks, scars, unique features. What seems insignificant can become decisive when faces change with age. The case proved the power of centralized databases. NCMEC's internet-accessible system was pioneering then. Now it's standard. Digital age progression, facial recognition, DNA matching, all built on foundations cases like Crystal's helped justify. It also became a textbook example of the lucky break factor. Secondary crimes exposing primary crimes. The abuse complaint in Puerto Rico wasn't connected to the abduction, but it triggered document checks, uncovered a forged birth certificate, and revealed Crystal's identity. If the abuse hadn't happened, or if it hadn't been reported, Crystal might have lived her entire life as Sonia Guzman, never knowing the truth. One complaint solved something much larger by accident. This pattern repeats in missing child cases. Traffic stops reveal kidnapped kids. Welfare checks uncover false identities. Domestic calls expose abductions. The lesson is blunt. Investigate every child welfare report aggressively. Verify documentation. Cross-check databases. The obvious case may be hiding a deeper one. The early San Diego investigation focused heavily on drug activity in the Anzaldi home. It shaped priorities and assumptions. The theory made sense. Leverage, retaliation, criminal associates. But the abduction appears unrelated to drugs. Stranger abduction, or at least someone outside that network. Investigative bias may have narrowed vision too early. Committing to one theory can blind investigators to others. Modern protocols emphasize dual-track investigations. Pursue domestic factors while keeping stranger abduction protocols active. Don't lock on to one explanation too fast. 1997 was a technological pivot point. Internet databases becoming usable. DNA becoming routine. Digital photos enabling rapid cross-jurisdiction comparison. The shift from analog to digital changed everything. Crystal's case landed at exactly the right moment. A few years earlier, she might never have been identified. A few years later, it would have been faster. But in 1997, it was just barely possible. And that mattered. By 2011 and beyond, everyone involved has scattered into separate lives. Crystal lives in Portland. Student, caretaker, adult life, private. Moving forward, Jeffrey remains in Banks, Oregon, raised both daughters after recovery, provided the stability the court recognized. Relationship with Crystal functional and steady. Dorothy lives in Corning, California. Lost the custody battle. Remains distant. The mother, who lost her daughter twice. First to abduction, then to the court. Kendra stays connected. A real sister relationship. One of the reintegration successes, Nilza Girbolini Guzman, was convicted only of falsifying documents. Minimal time served. Never convicted of kidnapping. The injustice remains. Sergeant Jim Munsterman kept the file alive for 7 years. Saw the ending he hoped for, even if he couldn't force it. Agents Cintrone and Nieves were honored for the recovery. Their tedious work made the difference that rippled outward. Return to December 8th, 1990. Early morning. A 14-month-old girl sleeping between her parents. Warm under the blanket, her father tucked around her at 7:30. Tiny birthmark left of her nose. A wide smile, even in sleep. By 8 o'clock, she was gone. Taken silently. Eventually transported to Puerto Rico. Given a new name. Language. Culture. Identity. For 7 years, Crystal Leann Anzaldi ceased to exist. Only Sonia Guzman remained. The transformation was complete. Memory erased. Language replaced. Identity rebuilt. The child forgot she'd been taken. Recovery began with one abuse complaint. One forged birth certificate. One Interpol agent comparing 500 photographs. One tiny birthmark matching across 7 years of aging. Crystal was found. Her identity was restored. Not immediately. Not easily. But eventually, the girl who forgot her name learned to answer to it again. It took years. But it happened. A life built on lies was dismantled. And the truth, painful and complex, was returned. By 22, Crystal had built a life, college, work, love, normalcy. The trauma didn't erase her ability to live an ordinary adult life. She speaks English. Spanish is mostly gone. She remembers Puerto Rico's heat but little else. She feels nothing for her abductor. She wants peace and privacy. She lives in the present. The mechanics remain unanswered. How did Girbolini enter the house? How did she lift a child from between sleeping parents without waking them? Alone or with help? Why, Crystal? The evidence doesn't exist. The answers may never exist. But the case proves several truths. Identity is fragile and resilient. A toddler can be remade into someone else. And yet, that can be undone. Not cleanly. Not without scars. But undone. Persistence matters. The file stayed open. The photos stayed in the database. When technology and chance aligned, recovery became possible. Memory is malleable. Crystal remembers almost nothing of her first 14 months. The Sonia years have mostly faded. What remains is what she built after. Justice is imperfect. The woman who stole 7 years served time for paperwork fraud, not kidnapping. The system restored identity, but didn't fully punish the crime. Recovery is possible even after years, even when a child has forgotten who they are. With technology, dedication, and one lucky break. The lost can come home. Crystal Leann Anzaldi is not defined by what happened to her, not by the abduction, not by 7 years, as Sonia, not by the hard recovery. She's defined by who she became afterward, the student, the caretaker, the woman who protects her peace, the girl who forgot her name remembered it, and then moved forward. Crystal Leann Anzaldi is home.